Hello, dear book dragons. It's Matilda here. And today and Happy New Year 2025. Today I'm going to talk about the books I read in December, and soon, probably tomorrow, I'll make a new video about my favorite books 2024. My top 18 books. I'll also try to think about maybe my top 5. I'll see. It's difficult. So many good books. Anyway, in December I read 8 books, and this is only 5 of them because I lent out, so I'm giving away. But the first book I read in December was Stranger Skies by Pascal Lachelle, Canadian author. This is the second book in a series. The first book is called Curious Tides, and the third book she's writing on right now. And I think maybe it comes out end of this year or next year. I'm not sure. I really love this series so much. The first book, Curious Tides, got on my 18 top list. And as this is in the same series, it goes on that list as well. I will say that I did like the first book better. And I probably would have liked this better if I had reread it, because there was several people, I forgot the names, like who was that, stuff like that. But this, I think why I love the first book better is because it was so new magic for me. There was such a unique magic world with the moon phases. You can hear me talk more about the first book in my May video, because that's when I read it. So yeah, go look at that to learn more about this book. And this is just the continuation, what happens after, so I can't spoil it. But there's more adventure, there's new people, there's new... Yeah, no, I shouldn't say. I made a first video which kind of, where I talked maybe a little bit too much. But anyway, the magic system is still so cool, and new things going on, and diving deeper into the people and the world, and this is competition at the school they go to, where they invite people from other schools. And yeah, but it's not really about that. It's not anything about that, because it's about Emery and Baz and Romy, Kai, and Clover. Man, I can't say more. You just have to read it. It's really good. Really, really good. Time travel. Anyway, the second book I read is Winter Solstice by Rosamund Pilcher. And Rosamund Pilcher is a writer I read, since I was a teenager. But this book I haven't read before. I think probably her most famous book is Shell Seekers. Well, for me anyway. But this book, I thought I had read it before, but I hadn't. So that was a lucky found. I found it here. We have this room where I live, where you can give away books and clothes and stuff. You can go there and find things. So I found it there, and I felt very lucky, because one of the book clubs, I'm not actually in it anymore, but still can read what other people write. So there was Winter Solstice was picked as a book of the month there, so I felt to read this in December. It is a really, really sad book. I cried a lot. I do very easily cry when I read, but this was more than usual, I would say. It is very sad. It's also very cute, very sweet, and loving, and found family. And it revolves around this lady in her 60s. She's from London, and she's moved to this small town somewhere in England. and she becomes friends with this family, and she really, really likes this man in the family with a little bit too much. And then the tragic thing happens where his wife and his daughter is killed in a car accident. It was a little bit too much for me, especially as the daughter was killed. I knew something would happen. I didn't really think it would be that horrible. It was devastating to read. For me personally, it was tough. And when this accident happens, the lady we follow, she's not there. She's visiting her cousin in Cornwall, so she's kind of shocked when she comes back. And this man has become a shell of himself, obviously. So she tries to help him and finds this. He has a, I think it's an uncle who comes to visit him and say, "Oh, you should go up to Scotland to the house there." He hasn't been there for many, many years, and she has to really convince him he should leave this place and go live there for a while. So they go, and other people also go there. She has relatives that also goes there, and so there's like 3 different generations meeting up just before Christmas. So that's when a sweet and cute part happens. But of course he's still really grieving, and the young girl that comes there, Lucy, she knows that his daughter died, and she's very uncomfortable. Like, will he really want me there? Won't I remind him of his daughter? She is a relative too. I have forgotten the name of the woman. It doesn't matter, but yeah. It's really, really sweet. It's quite a long book. It's nearly 900 pages. It's really thick. And it's slow going. I mean, it's just ordinary lives and ordinary days, but very cute. And there's also this man who doesn't know them at all, but gets a key to this place, to this house in Scotland, from another relative. And I was a little bit frustrated that we don't get to follow him as much until he comes there. I was like, when are we going to read about him again? I want to read about him again. So that was maybe the minus about this book. I felt the author forgot him for quite a long time, but then he does, of course, arrive, and they just invite him in. And this is so lovely. So I can really recommend it if you like to cry and you feel that you can handle really sad things around death. So I warn you, read it. And then I needed and loved some really light, sweet reading. I read The Secret Garden by Frances Hodgson Burnett. Now I've been able to practice her name. Hodgson, kind of difficult to say. This is, of course, a classic, a children's classic for all ages. And it's just so good. I started reading this at the beginning of the year, very like short parts now and then when I was working from home. Just very like 5 minutes there when I was waiting for calls. And so I didn't really get anywhere. And before I started reading this for real now in December, I had seen the film Wicked, and I wanted to read The Wizard of Oz, which I also have in Mina Lima. But I felt, no, I have to start with this because I already started it, and then I can read The Wizard of Oz. So that's why I read this in December. And it was just great to read it in December because it really was like, oh, I long for spring. I long to start growing things. I have like an outdoor space here where I can grow things. So just felt so happy reading about Mary when she comes alive, when she has moved from India to England. In the beginning, she just resents everything, she hates it, but she becomes more and more curious, and the more she is outside, the happier and healthier she gets. And it's just such a sweet description how a garden can help you bloom and be more happy, which is true. It can happen. And it's also, of course, about her cousin. And the longer the book, at the end of the book, it's more about her cousin than about her, which is strange. I mean, I have read this before, but as a kid, I'm not sure I've read the full book. Maybe I have, because this is a Medellima edition with lots of pictures and big letters, so maybe I have. I have to show you some of the pictures here. Like when you can open up stuff, so like here you can see. Sure. When you open them up, and suddenly you see the garden. But as I said, the book is more about her cousin at the end of the book, and I was a little bit surprised. It felt like the author forgot about Mary at the end, because she's not mentioned at all. I was like, why did you forget Mary? It is about Mary. Anyway, it's just such a great classic. Read it if you want to get energy to start moving and start getting a garden, just being outside. And then I gave it 5 stars. And then I read The Grace of Wild Things by Heather Fawcett, which also is the writer of Emily Wilde's those books. But this is one of her children books, and she has written several children books. This is the first one I read. And this is like a witchy version of Anne of Green Gables. And it's so good. It's so good. Grace is a very young witch who's grown up in an orphanage, just like Anne. And she is out in the forest looking for a witch who can teach her. And this witch, she lives in like kind of a gingerbread cottage. And yeah, she's not very happy to have Grace there. But she tells her that if you can do all the magic in my first magic book that she wrote when she was a kid herself, then you can become my apprentice. So, and she has to do it before the tree in her garden, the cherry tree in her garden, blooms. And there are several things in this book that connects with what happens in Anne of Green Gables, the first book. And so if you read those, you will notice though that happened in that book. And she has this best friend she meets in this book, and she's so happy because she has never had a best friend, and she just can't really believe that she now has a best friend. There's also a very sweet fairy boy in the forest, which she doesn't like. She's really annoyed with him. I've forgotten why, but he's nothing like Gilbert Blythe. But yeah, it's kind of similar how she hates him and he just follows her around. And yeah, it's very sweet, very cute, fun book. So yeah, this is on my top list. Yeah, read it. And then I read Long Shadow by Olivia Atwater. I give this 4.5 stars. I read in November the book before that, 10,000 Stitches, which I gave 4.8 stars. So I really like this, but I do like 10,000 Stitches and Half a Soul better. And this is kind of what happens after Half a Soul. So this is back to people in the first book, but it's not around that girl, but yeah, yeah, I shouldn't say so much because they will ruin half the soul for you. But yeah, you get to meet those people again that you meet in the first book, and but it's this about Abigail, and it's a lot about death. And Long Shadow is where the fairy Rian, the elves, fairies that fetch human souls. Not all human souls don't need to be fetched, but those that are enraged needs help. And this is a mystery. There's a dead girl in the beginning, and Abigail wants to solve what's happened. So it's a mystery. It's also a little sweet love story, and it's a lot to talk about death and ghosts. And yeah, read it. I didn't like 10,000 Stitches better, but I really enjoyed this as well. And then I read The Dark is Rising. This is my Swedish copy. It's called, in Swedish, for some reason, A Ring of Iron. I don't know why, but this book was written in 1972, so it's an old fantasy classic for children and grown-ups. There is this big Facebook community around this book, especially this book. This is a series, and this is the second book in a series, but you can read it as a first book. And in this book you get to follow Will, who's the youngest child of 9 siblings, out in the English countryside. It's winter. It's the day before his 11th birthday. It's the 20th of December. And strange things started to happen. And on the day when he's born, on his birthday, he's transported back in to medieval times. I don't think he realizes that, but when he wakes up, the view he's used to is gone, and it's just a big forest, and his family, he can't wake them, so he goes out and he meets the Dark Rider. He also meets friends. He also meets this man who is what's it called in English, but he doesn't have a home. He's just walking around. He's been looking for Will for a long time to give him this special ring of iron. And yeah, he on this day he meets also his new teacher, you could say. He's a kind of Merlin kind of person. There's a lot of Arthurian legend around this book. And he tells Will that he's the last born of the light. There's a lot of people working to help humans to strive towards the light, and of course there are people working for the dark. And so this is it. As it's called in English, The Dark is Rising, and there's a lot of things going on here. It's so good. It's also very Christmassy. I think my favorite part is when he and some of his siblings go caroling, and they end up at this mansion where they sing, and suddenly he's transported to another time. It's just so good. It's really good. And all of the books are set during different times of the year. So I always read this Christmas, and well, this is the book I read the most. That's the first book, the real first book. It's called Over Sea Under Stone, and it's during summer, I think. Yeah, or Easter. No, I'm not really sure. It doesn't matter. There's one book during summer, one during Easter. The most sad book is set just before Halloween. These are great books. I can really recommend them. As I said, there is a lot of people reading this book from my generation. I hope we can help me get more people to read it in newer generations, because they're just classic. And then I read a Christmas book, like a feel-good Christmas book. I read it in Swedish. I'm not really sure what it's called in English, but translated will be 12 Dogs in Christmas Time, by Lizzie Shane. I gave it to my sister for Christmas, so I kind of speed read it towards the end because I wanted her to have it before we left. So yeah, maybe I should. I gave it 4.2 stars. I really enjoyed it. It was really, really cute. It was really sweet. About this young woman who comes back to her grandparents to help them with their dog rescue place, and suddenly they have to close because the town needs to save money, and the man who had to take this decision feels really bad about it, so he tries to help them find new homes for the dogs. So it's just a romantic, cute story, and I really like reading books about dogs. I always do. And then I started another Christmas book that I didn't bring with me, so I didn't finish it, but yeah, maybe I'll just keep it for next Christmas. So, but the last book of the year was also one of the favorite books I read 2024, and that's The Crescent Moon Tea Room. And I've lent it out to friends, so I don't have it here, by Stacy Swinsky. And it's about three witch sisters. And so it's been a witchy month. And these three sisters can read fortunes in tea leaves, but also in other things. And they have this tea shop where they bake and make tea, and they have it in their own home. And their house, is the best part of the book. I really love this adorable house because it's alive. It doesn't have feelings, but it has feelings for them. The house really wants them to be comfortable. So when they need more space, it makes rooms bigger, and they make the fire, and even at one point makes tea for them when they're upset. It is a mystery because their mother died like 2 years ago, and she has a friend who comes visit them sometimes, and in the beginning of the book when she comes there, and she gets shocked because she can see on them that they have a curse on them, and that she doesn't know what it is about, but they decide that they have to try to solve it somehow, and starting with reading their mother's diary. So one of the sisters loves reading and writing, and one of them longs for adventure, and one of them, the oldest, well, they're not twins, what's it called when they're three? Triplets. So you can't really say the oldest, but one of them, maybe the first one, she really wants to be a good witch. She wants to be able to help as many as possible. So she's the one who's holding them together, really. So it's a lot about sisterhood, but also going their own way, and found the balance in that. And the sister who loves to write, she tries to read this diary, and she has to kind of coax it to give her the words. So I really love the magic system in this book. How you have to be sweet to a diary to be able to read it. And then the second sister, she longs for adventure, as I said, and she founds this circus, this man, and it's just so cute. And it's lovely to read about the sister who writes, how she finds her way in writing, and yeah, it's just adorable. I really recommend it. It's also on my top list, 18 books of the year. So that was the last book I read in 2024. And I would love to hear about your books you read in December, or your favorite books in 2024. And I'll see you soon again. Bye.